Oh, look, Rick.
Yeah,
What's happened?
Something's going on with that ship.
There's a big cargo shipment. Oh, wow. It's the first time.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen that before, but yeah, he's full. He must have just come from Cartagena. He's got full cargo, which means he's sitting low in the water. And he's right between two of the buoys, so I think he's in the channel. But
yeah,
he might have crossed a section where the sand is silted in a little bit. But yeah, he's trying to use full power. He's not getting anywhere.
He's very deep underwater, I think, so the boat.
I think there's another ship or a tugboat coming out to him. Yeah, let's get the drone in the air. Let's go have a look. The date is March 28th, 2021, and with the subject of the Suez Canal on the tip of everyone's tongue, we had a ship arrive here in San Andres very early this morning that promptly went aground right in the middle of the shipping channel. Now I have to admit I didn't see this happen myself, but one of my friends on a neighboring boat said he was on deck and watched the ship steaming down the channel at what he described at a very fast rate of speed, and apparently with no pilot boat, which would be a first. I've never seen anybody come in the channel without a pilot boat. But sure enough, as this boat came steaming down the channel, he got too close to the outside edge of the channel, right where he was supposed to make his turn to start entering the dock at the port. For some reason, that turn never happened and he went right up on the sandbar, right on the edge of the channel between two red outer markers. Not good. Now, it was going to be up to our little tugboats to try and get this monster off the sandbar. And for these guys, I almost felt bad because it reminded me of the little Theodore tugboat videos I used to watch with my kids. Needless to say, our little engines wouldn't help much with this situation, so about all we can do is sit back and watch from afar. But Danny and I did put the drone in the air and take some snapshots from the air in the hopes that it might help the port captain in pulling the ship towards the direction of least resistance. But I think these guys are gonna be here for a while, so we'll check back on them later.
For the last 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
Before that, we're
40
moving all over the
years,
place.
because
And
I
that's
was
one of the
pregnant
places
of
that's
her.
relatively close to the coast. I thought it would be cool to sail in somewhere in a little town and be able to go see Cali.
The
But
closest city is Buenaventura and not advisable.
that's what you were asking me about.
Yeah, a lot of
The whole
invisible
facility-
frontiers.
I lived in Buenaventura
Yeah.
for 6 months, for 9 months, because
Yeah.
I was working at the terminal container port.
Yeah. Oh, we have more guests arrived from Cali.
Cali, Colombia.
Cali, Colombia. And I'm going to get you guys to introduce yourself, but I remember this is Carlos.
Carlos, yeah.
I'm Alejandro, the oldest.
I'm Mappy, the wife.
I'm Maria Andrea, the third one.
Hi, I'm Pablo. I'm the guy in the middle.
And hi, I'm Juan Manuel, and I'm the littlest, the youngest.
Wow.
He's the surprise arrival.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we
Very
have
nice family.
we have two surprise arrivals. Like if we didn't know how kids are done, right? She's surprised and he's surprised. So
Okay.
we finally learned how kids are done.
So you guys just arrived here. How long are you here for?
We have been here since last Sunday. We're going to stay until Tuesday.
So you're here for 2 more days.
In
Thursday and
Colombia,
Friday.
we learn that all the Monday normal is holiday.
Yeah, what happens here is that you have two kinds of holidays. You have the political holidays, let's say like Independence Day and Constitution Day and things like that, and then you have the religious holidays. And there is this law that religious holidays are pushed to the next Monday.
Ah,
So that's why
okay.
we have so many holidays on Monday.
Oh, we don't know this. It's
So we
interesting.
have in Colombia last year we had like 18 holidays.
Yes.
18.
Well, yeah, because when you say political holiday, I think you mean politicians just saying, "Oh no, I don't go to work today, so just close the island."
Well, that happens as well.
Yeah.
That happens as well.
Tell them how long have you been watching the channel?
Oh, I've been watching the channel for a long time. I mean, I was telling her I watched the channel. I remember a solution that you had to capture water with a carp and whatnot. That was in Panama.
Oh yeah.
A
That's
couple of seasons.
Remember
ago.
that was in Bocas.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
couch,
Bocas del
the
Toro.
raining catch.
And then it's you watch so many videos and so that you get a little bit confused.
So he's a huge fan.
Yeah, but I'm a huge fan. Well, I
Well,
told her.
very happy to meet you, and thank
Uh,
you for coming by for
No,
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you
You
for having us.
you
Oh,
dance
no
in
worries.
salsa?
Always happy to meet you.
Oh,
We are professional salsa dancers.
Yeah,
We have it in the blog.
Yeah.
We have an anecdote. Not professional, but the anecdote is the following. We went to school, to business school in Barcelona, right? And they had this event called International Night, where people would go and do something from their countries. And they asked the Latinos, right? People from Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, you got to do something for the International Night. And we said, yeah, sure, Latinos, we'll do it, right? The night before, they came to us and said, you prepare something for tomorrow, right? And we went like, oh yeah, we did. So we called each other. I have a a player, a CD player, perfect. And I have a Juan Luis Guerra CD, perfect.
Wow.
So we went there, we put the CD player, we put the Juan Luis Guerra CD, and we started dancing, like in a party. but we had a standing ovation. People were like, "Ah! How long did you train for this?"
Since yesterday.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Where did you learn?
Spontaneous.
Where did you learn to dance? I learned with my mother. I learned with my aunt. With my sister.
With my brother.
I watched the videos all night last night.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like that in Colombia. I mean, here in Caribbean in general, Colombia, Venezuela, it's like dancing is part of the culture, and you learn to do it when you're a little
When you're a
kid.
kid.
With your cousins, aunts, mother. And
I have
whatnot.
Yeah.
videos for the movement of the body.
And see, if you guys remember, that was one of the reasons I wanted to spend more time in Colombia
Exactly.
to learn. And what do? We show up and it's pandemic and everything shuts down.
Everything shuts down.
For Rocky, I think so. You are very dangerous if you dance like in a wedding.
Oh, what are you guys doing tomorrow night?
Let's
We
go
need some
dancing.
lessons.
Let's go dancing.
I think it didn't take very long before the tugboats realized their efforts were being wasted as we were still sitting close to low tide. Looks like they took a break for a while to recollect themselves and come up with a new plan. And meantime, Armada had stationed one of their defender boats in position to monitor traffic around the ship. At this point, I'm thinking they're pretty much just waiting for high tide. Good decision. So, we'll keep an eye out and hopefully they have some better luck later in the day. Meantime, here's another little peek for you at some of our other backyard activities in our lovely little island of San Andres. you guys have been here before? You said 7 years?
We had our honeymoon here 27 years
Our
ago.
honeymoon was
We came for our
here.
honeymoon, and then we came a couple of times. I actually work in the energy sector, and I work with the company generating energy here.
Ah, cool.
So I had to come for a year. I had to come every month, so it was very nice. And then we came like 7 years ago, and here we are again.
I don't know where I put my business card
brother
case.
got stung by a medusa over there.
Oh, there's
yeah,
one.
No.
But yeah, we should, if you guys want to do something tomorrow, hook up or something, we'll meet you for a beer somewhere.
Oh, amazing.
That would be great.
That would be nice.
We always like to get out for a little tour on the island, especially after, you know, a work day like today.
Okay.
Oh, I would.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh.
Our plan is to go to Piscinita in the afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can join us if you want.
See you next time.
Yes, sir.
Ciao, guys. Very cool. I mean, you never know who you're going to meet, right? People just show up out of nowhere. And,
Always surprising.
come on aboard. You want a beer? Yeah, hell yeah. Well, the day has arrived. We continue with our Ray Marine installations, step 2. So we're gonna start with this, mostly because it's big and it's kind of in our living space right now, so we wanna get it up on top of the bimini where it's supposed to be, and of course I'm dying to test it out. So if you look at the bottom of this, I haven't opened it up or anything yet, but you can see basically we just have a 2-wire hookup. This is a new, completely different design than what they used to have, because formerly you used to have to undo all the bolts, take the dome apart, open it up, and then put all the wires in and screw them down one at a time individually. So that was a big job, of course, and it also involved compromising the seal on the radar, and they want this to remain as waterproof as possible. So they've gone to this new system now, and everything is interlocking. So this is our data cable for the radar. It's a 15-meter quantum data cable, and it has locking, waterproof, watertight ends on the end. So the same thing with the power cable, 15 meters also. One end is exposed wires just to hook up to our battery system or our circuit breaker panel, and the other end is a locking terminal with waterproof O-rings again. So now we don't have to compromise the seal on the unit, just 2 small connections that come out of it, and they will come down through the radar arch and go down inside the boat and run accordingly from there. Now therein lies the problem. Installing the radar is actually a very simple maneuver, well, at least for me, because I already have the mount up top, and these bolt patterns I already checked and they match my pivoting mount that's up on top of the bimini. The problem is, once we get down inside, we have to run all the wires through the length of the boat, and that hasn't been opened in a while, and that's where all the wiring runs fore and aft from the nav station, the control panel, the breaker panel, etc. So we need to open up those tubes, the columns that run all the wiring fore and aft, and see what's in there, because not only do we need to run the cable for the radar, but at the same time we do that, we have to consider what else is going to be installed. Now, to connect the entire system down to my nav station, we're going to require one of the C-Talk cables. So this is one of the C-Talk backbone cables. It's a 15 meter, and that will run all the way through as well. And we also need a RayNet cable, and this is the data cable that will communicate between the chart plotters. So we're going to have chart plotter here, chart plotter down there, and they need to send simultaneous information at high speed, and that's where the RayNet cable comes in. So the C-Talk cable connects all the devices and communicates everything for wind, depth, all of that kind of thing. But the chart plotters, they have a lot of information to connect all the sonar and, you know, the chart plotter and the high definition maps and everything else that we're going to be using through the system. So these two at the very least need to run through, and that's going to be at the same time. So now the issue is, what are we going to run into when we open up that tube? Because we have a lot of instruments not working, which means that there's problems in the wiring. So we need to try and find those problems and correct those at the same time. So that, my friends, is where we start today. Okay, so as we get into our mess making project, you can see this is a lot of the stuff we have to empty out of some of the lockers in order to open up access to where the wiring, the cabling, goes down beside down the side of the boat. So with this at least out of the way, I've opened up the access panels, and now we're going to go in and start having a look and see what's there that we need to remove, because the old system everything in the old system is going to come out at the same time as the new system's going in. So we need to figure out which wires are not necessary anymore, and we're going to use those wires to pull through the new wires, basically. So let's have a look. Because back in there is our main access. That's where all of the electronics for the autopilot and the interfaces for the wind instruments and everything else are, all in that compartment, and that goes across the whole back of the boat. It's also where we store our life jackets and spare luggage, whatever we don't need at the time. But from there, all of these wires come down through this side of the boat, and this side is all sealed. So we do not have access in here. You can see this is just that's glued in vinyl that is just covering the panel, so there's no removable access right here, but the removable access is in here. So I've opened this up already, and this is the wiring tube right here. That is the duct that was installed at the factory for any optional wires that the next owners would want to install. Some of them are the factory cables, okay, wiring that was necessary when the boat was built, but a lot of this stuff are things that have been either added by me or previous owners. So I recognize a lot of the wiring that is here, but you can see we have some issues with some of these wires. Look at that. This is one of the data cables for our old single sideband radio. It stopped working a long time ago, and I haven't even used it in over 10 years, so it hasn't been a big concern. But this, that's reminiscent of a small animal we had on board a long time ago. And now we're just finding that damage, recognizing that the wire was still actually usable for a while, but now look, it's just totally corroded. Now we've seen some of our other data cables that are here. This is part of our old VHF handheld system for the cockpit. So this wire is no longer needed, it's going to come out. This one is definitely coming out because we're going to remove the entire single sideband. So the good news is this wire doesn't need to be replaced or upgraded, it's obsolete. Same thing with this. This is the antenna cable for the single sideband, and it goes back to the automatic tuner in the back, and we're removing the automatic tuner at the same time, so everything is going to come out. Now we move over into this side, and this is the bathroom, as you can see, in our crew cabin. And in behind here is where the other side of the tube comes out through here, and all of the wires transition through here. So this gives you a central access point for pulling the wire through one half of the boat first and then the next half second. If you need to make any connections here or adjustments, anything, you can always check everything. So we've already pulled some through, and you can see we've got some issues with some of our cables here. And especially, yeah, look, there's another one, look at that. Damn rodents.
Wow, yes, it's very...
That was a few years ago we had that, but see, any place that the rodent couldn't crawl through a hole, they would just eat the wire out of their way. We got same issue with some of our cables here. You can see this going on now. And I've just been pulling these through, gaining some access to them to see what kind of conditions everything is. Because these other wires, ones like this and these thinner black wires, these are all our instruments. So we need to check all of these, but I suspect that we are probably going to end up just replacing these. If we're noticing this kind of damage on some of the other wires from the single sideband, then I'm pretty sure that we are going to be looking at just replacing all the wiring entirely, which means drawing through a new wire for the depth sounder, the speed and temperature sensor, sonar, and the wind instrument. So we're going to need to add those wires to our list and pull them through all at the same time, but they're going to pull through from the front of the boat this way, and all the instruments from back here are going to have to pull through this way. So for now, we're going to deal with those first, and then we're going to find out which one, like some of these wires, yeah, this is all part of the old single sideband as well. And it joins here, so we can actually we can cut this and use this part of the wire for pulling through this way, and use this part of the wire for pulling through from my nav station. Because all these wires go straight to my nav station, and then that's where they disperse from there. So the project got a little bit bigger, but we probably knew we were going to have to do this anyway, because if it wasn't rodent damage, it's lightning strike. We had some lightning damage, and we don't want to leave some of these wires that are sensitive data cables if they potentially have damage. So, all right, that's going to be next. So, back at it. But after a few more hours of pulling on wires, we decided it was time to take a little break and have a little fun. And what better way to have some fun than invite some friends over for a backyard pool party? Oh yeah.
Luisa. Luisa, mira la cámara, sonríe.
You silly girl. You silly girl. You having fun too? As we started approaching high tide, I glanced over at the port and noticed that it looked like they were going to take another shot at trying to free the stuck freighter. Needless to say, didn't look like any progress going to happen anytime soon with the ship, so might as well get back to our guests. Who's coming?
Hey, good afternoon.
Dustin! How's she hanging, mate?
Oh, pretty good. I come bearing good tidings.
Oh, my favorite! Look! I love this.
Do you like it? Oh, good.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about that one. So.
She didn't need to go.
We never refuse gifts like that.
Yeah.
Gracias, amigo.
Oh, de nada.
How's everything on your ship?
You know, it's about ship shape. Here, you want to see my one-handed bowl in here?
Did you get your... Oh, cool. How'd your test go?
I am negative of COVID once again. So
Lucky
my brain has been swabbed about 11 times now. And
They dug deep, did they?
oh yeah, but so far so good.
The music
Cheers.
has to come down.
Negative?
Negative, yeah. Hello, hello.
Nosotros optamos para tu elegía de ayer.
Oh, sí, está bien.
Congrats, man. So you're
Cheers.
still on your way tomorrow?
Yep.
You have papers?
10 a.m. I'm doing the papers. So.
On Sunday, right?
We'll see, yeah, that's what he said.
10
So
a.m. Sunday, right?
yeah, so I may or may not still be here tomorrow.
You remember where you are, right?
Yes, yes. I've been told that Colombia is very good with their government, especially the Navy, and
Who told you that?
the Navy.
Oh, well, we'll see how it goes for you.
Yep,
Hopefully it
yep.
works
We'll
out.
see. If not, you know, I could stay a few more days. It's okay.
So I know you got a good weather window. Should be good downwind sail.
Tomorrow would have been tomorrow would be really nice.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be mild, but over Monday, Tuesday, you'll definitely have a good slide ride down.
Yeah. Yeah. there's-
Panama.
Sorry, please.
Oh, it's all right.
Welcome aboard, man.
Cheers. Thank you. You're still here.
Hola.
Está aquí.
They never left.
and I freaked out. I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I can't hand steer for 1,100 miles. Obviously I would have had to, but you know, after using a lot of swear words, which didn't solve the problem, but it was worth a try, I made myself a Bailey's and coffee and just looked at the problem for a little bit.
It solves everything.
It did, yeah. And so then I just started looking around the boat for things I could maybe make a rudder out of. And I used a wooden oar. So I sawed off the end of the wooden oar, used a hole saw to fix it, size it properly so it fit into the tube.
For the wind vane?
Yeah, for the wind vane. So basically that rudder there, I used a wooden oar for. And it was a slightly different design, so...
Good solution.
Yeah, it worked, and I used it all the way until Fiji. So I went to American Samoa, Tonga, and Fiji with the wooden oar.